The fastest race in women's cycling history, at least from what I can tell, and it was done by 5 women. Unimaginable scenes in the UAE Tour. The Al Mirfa stage, this stage has crazy crosswinds every single time. This is the 4th or 5th time they've done it across the men and women's race. Elisa Longo-Borghini on the new team, the home team, UAE, and she got dropped on her feet last year. She'd want to kick it off maybe in the crosswinds, and she does. She basically pulls with her UAE teammates an echelon of 5 herself out of neutral. And look who's jumping across. Only probably one woman can do this. Lorena Wiebes sprints across between the echelons. It was absolutely strung out. Hectic crosswind from their left shoulder, and ELB was looking to cause chaos on the road. Splits everywhere. A lot of riders would lose GC places and big GC time today, not just between echelon 1 and 2. And she's got with her Swinkles, the teammate, Lara Gillespie. I mentioned her already, the Irish rider, track rider who was on their Devo team last year. She makes it, as well as Williams on human-powered health. Behind, they just never get this second echelon organized properly. Echelon 1 was right. It looks good here. They're correctly using the whole width of the road, and then suddenly they stop. There's just no one chasing at all for some reason. Trek never go to the front in this phase, and then when they do start chasing again, they're way too narrow. And whereas the unit in front, they never stopped working, whereas this group, they'd stop, and then Lebu is like, can we get going again? And then look how narrow they are. There's a strong left to right crosswind. Trek don't chase. In fact, they're almost blocking. Balsamo starts freewheeling. As you see, X roll over. It's like, okay, but these aren't some Conti riders ahead. It's Swinkles and Elisa Longo-Borghini. And look still how narrow they are. They're on the hard shoulder, the yellow line, when they should be all the way on the other side of the road. So this group made it hard for themselves in this really hectic crosswind phase. And so everyone was actually doing a lot more work. This is the third group on the road who come back to the peloton, who come back to the second group. They're in the correct formation all the way across the road. And yeah, 21 seconds though, 94 Ks. It's not a disaster. I was thinking at this moment, okay, maybe Longo-Borghini survives to the intermediate sprints. She gets the free bonus seconds, but surely 5 women in front, 2 of whom aren't working. Williams and Wiebes weren't even working properly. Gillespie looked cooked. Swinkles was skipping turns. I'm guaranteed Longo-Borghini was thinking at this point whether she should wait, whether she wasn't wasting energy sitting in front of a 100-woman strong peloton, 10 seconds ahead with 2 riders sitting on who weren't working, one of whom's going to win the stage, Wiebes. Is it worth it? And the answer was yes, because when they go into the built-up area, they don't show the peloton on the images for a long time. The peloton completely stops for 15k. Just stops riding through the feed zone and gives the breakaway with Elisa Longo-Borghini 2.5 minutes for free. And this is the sort of stage where it's 50 kph the entire stage. It's not so easy. If you got to take back 3 minutes and the group in front are riding at 50, I'm not a mathematician, but you got to ride then like at 53, 55 the whole time. And any time you take your foot off the gas, yeah, that's really the major error there in that moment, that the group let them take 3 minutes, because I think they could have brought it back if they kept it at 130, kept it at 120. They already take 120 into it, and it's 138 now with Elisa Longo-Borghini still being fresh, but Swinkles not being able to pull, Gillespie looking tight. And then, even though it was going really well, the chase, Trek decided to put it in the gutter and split it. So they drop all the domestiques of the other riders. They do put Mavi Garcia on a gap, but it's like they didn't think Longo-Borghini was in front. And then they start pulling for a little bit. The gap does go down to 107. It even goes to 59 seconds at one point. But by splitting it here, and they nearly drop Guazzini as well, who's there to help Lebu, it becomes dysfunctional again. The group's smaller, and so the gap completely stalls at 1 minute. The group in front, ELB, is just absolutely trucking. Like, unbelievable performance from Longo-Borghini today. Hats off to her. Incredible performance on the new team. Pressure on her too to perform. Like, she knows possibly she will get dropped on her feet tomorrow. She had to make it happen today. And now Guazzini is the one on the front. Trek weren't helping, and maybe they think that Longo-Borghini is still on their team, or they don't want Balsamo to have a chance to sprint. But even with Williams, skipping a few turns, Wiebes not pulling, completely. The gap doesn't come down. In fact, it goes out in the last 5Ks. This group loses another 11 seconds to the group in front. Gillespie pulling all out. ELB pulling, and Swinkles doing the final lead out into the right-hand sweeping corner. So an absolute masterclass from UAE today for Longoborghini's GC. The only little error was here where Gillespie, she's never going to win the sprint against Wiebes. Wiebes been sitting on, Wiebes way stronger. ELB's telling Gillespie to stop so that ELB can take the 4 bonus seconds. She's shouting at her here. She's shouting stop, like break, because Wiebes has already passed Gillespie for the stage win, but Gillespie keeps sprinting to the finish. I think she did the intermediate sprint as well. But no matter, I don't think those 4 bonus seconds are going to make a difference with the huge gap that Longoborghini was able to take. So really impressive from her, and Wiebes for making it. 1:26 gap. I didn't even speak about Wiebes winning the stage. I mean, she sprinted across the last minute to get to that UAE. I mean, if she hadn't got to that echelon, then probably SD Works chase, and then it never really goes all the way, and she wins in the sprint anyway. Here's what she had to say after the stage.
Lorena, this morning we spoke about sprinting from a reduced peloton. But would you have imagined a group of only 5 people and going away from so far?
No, I didn't expect, especially because the peloton was for a long time really close to us. And I think I was one of the last ones who could jump over to this group in the beginning. And and with the headwind part, we got the minutes, and then we kept on going. And for me, it was lucky that UAE had 3 riders in the group, so they kept on going for the GC for Elisa. And it was easier for me to sprint.
Tell us about the finale. How did you look at the UAE riders, and were you super confident?
No, it's always, with sprinting you're never 100% sure. But I remember this sprint also from 2 years ago, and I knew in what position I needed to enter the corner, and I had space to go my own line. So then I felt confident.
Your average speed today, 48.4 kilometers an hour. Do you realize that you have made history?
No, but I felt it was really fast, and that's also the thing that I knew from the chasing group behind us, that it was hard to chase us back, because they could not go much faster than we did.
Do you also realize that you have won half of all the stages contested in the UAE Tour?
No, but I really like this race, so it's nice.
But in terms of GC, Wiebes is leading, but the first 3 are sprinters. ELB is practically in the lead. She's got a 1:30 gap on her next competitor, which is Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, who made the second echelon today. Very good performance from her, even though she was isolated. So not all to play for in the Vite tomorrow. Maybe there could be an upset. I can't wait to watch. Until then, ciao.